Today, we have a number of guests reviewing the situation of a report by the Foundation for Investigative Journalism on the smuggling, allegations of smuggling around the country and some of the implications and the response of the authorities. To discuss that issue with me today, I have Inibehe Effiong and Ms. Buki Shonibare, who is the chair of the Board of Trustees of the FIJ. Buki, you are welcome to Inside Sources.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Now, since I have you here, let me just ask you that singular question that I always ask my guests before we get into the FIJ investigation. Where Nigeria is today, do you think that we are on course to that great country that we all envisage, in your view?
The optimistic side of me will say, yes, we are on course, things like that. But if we look at the fact and the realities that we have right now, I cannot say that we're on course. So to answer your question directly, Nigeria is not on course. And that is because we have evidence to show that we're literally rolling back. And I'll speak to the issue that concerns me, or how I approach how a democratic nation thrives, which is, let's look at the principles of human rights, for instance. How are people's rights being advanced in this democracy we call Nigeria? And when we look at the evidences around, for instance, participation, accountability of the government, bring that in and look at the social contract principle, how the government is supposed to literally report to the governed. You look at the issues around discrimination happening, and when we talk about discrimination, it's not just gender, it's discrimination across different economic discrimination, for instance. And then you see how the gap between the have and the have-not keeps widening. You look at issues around how people are empowered. You look at the issues around how the laws are being upheld. I've just reeled out sort of like a panel principle, PANEL, right. Participation, accountability, non-discrimination, empowerment, and legality. If I use that, and that's the space with which, or the lens with which I tend to look at how a democratic nation is thriving. And for us in Nigeria, the fact shows that we are not, moving in that particular direction. So to answer your question directly, I think we're rolling back the gains that we have had before. Recent election shows in that to that effect. Polarization seems to be ethnic polarization, economic polarization, and you look at all of that, and those indicators tell you that the future of Nigeria is not yet towards what we expect to see.
Interesting, and that's a conversation that I hope that we will get an opportunity to actually dig into. But let's take it forward based on what is going on now. We have a young man, and it's not just him. There are quite a number of young people who are, pressing the issues of civic engagement, trying to find a space for the expression of their own voices in the polity, which is essentially, in my view, a very positive thing. So you have the Foundation for Investigative Journalism, founded by Mr. Fisayo Shoyombo, did a very compelling story about the Nigerian Customs Service. And this is not the first time that Fisayo is engaged in this kind of, public interest-driven investigative journalism. And now he has made substantial allegations around smuggling, even smuggling of rice, at a time when there is so much hardship in the land. And then one of the last things that he has said is that, so when and this is an allegation, when the people that are meant to curb smuggling seizes a product that he has seen, he has evidence that the product that was seized from the smuggler is in fact sold by the authorities. Now, so you are the chairperson of the foundation, and I read in the press that you had an encounter with the police on this matter. So I wanted to hear from you what actually happened.
So like you rightly identified, Fisayo Shoyombo started Foundation for Investigative Journalism, FIJ, since June of 2020. prior to that, and even after that, Fisayo has literally risked his life, revealing, corrupt practices. And those things are not revelations of what some would prefer to call allegations. So they are allegations based on the fact that is needs to be proven before you can affirm that. But those revelations shows that, there are huge gaps, huge corruption going on in different places. And the custom story is not the only one. It's done on Abattoir. You remember the one on Arrows of God, the orphanage, and you look at all of those things. And that's what Fisayo has dedicated his life to. In a sane, free, democratic society, men like Fisayo should be hugely celebrated. I personally feel that the guy is even much more celebrated outside of this country than this country. To say that in terms of looking at the responsibility of the press in a democratic society, Fisayo is filling that role, i.e. making sure that the press not only entertain, but that the press informs and educates, but most importantly, this press serves as the watchdog in a democratic society, and that's the work that Fisayo is doing. So after the custom story, of course, we've done a lot of stories recently,
right.
The Abattoir story, the Arrows of God story, and many, many others. But after that, we just started seeing this heightened attack, to not just discredit Fisayo and the FIJ, but to also assassinate his character. And talking about assassination, one of the sponsored press is that when a journalist becomes an assassin, not a character assassin, an assassin, that is huge. So what happened? It's one of the sponsored articles after the custom story came out, and that's one out of many coordinated attacks. But let me backtrack to the question that you asked in terms of what happened. Right. I was invited by the police. It was actually on a Saturday that I got the invitation. That's last week Saturday that I got the invitation by email. It was sent to me by email, and that I was invited to come on a Tuesday, which was the next Tuesday. So the letter stated that I was, in fact, in the framing of the letter, it was as though I was to come and interview the investigator. But I was asked to come in my capacity as the board chair. Right. And then when I went there, we decided to make it public. And we did that because we know the character of those that we're dealing with. So I went there. When I got to the entrance where I needed to sign in, I was told that I was going to the threat response unit. The threat response unit. And I was concerned about that because I recall that I looked at the lawyer and I was like, threat? What has happened?
So now this was the lawyer?
Yes, I went with my lawyer. So my lawyer was there. There was another junior lawyer that was there. And Samson Itodo of Yaga Africa also just came there when he saw this story. Right. And we were there, and I was told that I could only go in with one person. Okay. So Samson couldn't go in. The other lawyer couldn't go in. So we went in with the main lawyer. Okay. So when we got in, we were asked to sign that we're going to the threat unit. And I recall we looked at ourselves, threat response. So by saying that the department that is investigating is the threat response, what you have alluded to is that a threat has been issued by the organization that I represent, which is FIJ in this regard. FIJ has released stories before now. Right. The government has taken action on some FIJ stories. For instance, the Arrow of God story, the orphanage one, it was shut down in Anambra State. Yes. Actually. Yeah. In fact, 3 or 4 of their branches were actually shut down. And so, but this one they are refusing. Now, just like you rightly said, bring in the parties. Huge revelations have been made about IB Dende, about Sokapu or something like that, one of them, and so many smugglers. Have you called these people? What is the National Assembly doing? There's a committee on customs relation. Have you invited these relevant people to establish the truth? And it is when you have now found that, this guy, Fisayo, has actually gone wrong, then invite him and do whatever, your arrest or whatever. But that has not been done. But put their responses on record in your bid to establish whether the revelations that have been made is true or not. But what do we see? We see customs literally on their private, this thing, we have 17,000 workforce. If you attack him, it will whittle down his power. On Facebook, he's more being attacked, and when you click on the picture of those who are attacking him on Facebook, there are people mainly from that point. Fisayo has made allegations around death, murder, There are people who reveal information, informants who go missing, who are killed, whose numbers are bad. He's made allegations around gun running, around smuggling. A known smuggler is said to sponsor the Customs Wives Association at an event recently. IB Dende was one of the main people who supported that. And then after the thing was done, when they saw that FIJ released this thing, they went to private put private lock on their this thing. So the point, just like you rightly said, is, and that's the work of the media and the press in a democratic society. But final word, when journalistic work is being done, investigative journalistic work is being done,
right,
and it makes revelations like this, the responsibility is on the supply side, the government. The primary responsibility of the government shall be the security and the welfare of the people. Section 14, subsection 2B of the Constitution.
Right.
What that means is that the government has the mandate, the constitutional mandate,
right, to
make sure that in achieving that primary responsibility of security and welfare of the people, because this borders on security. Smuggling is death. Smuggling, people are being killed. And then when you have gun running, people bringing gun into, what are those guns being used for? Guns are used to kill people. So you are failing in that primary mandate. So my final word is, pick that report and do your proper investigation. IB Dende has not been invited till date. Has not been investigated. So there is no response from him. Other than IB Dende, there are other people that FIJ, and then this is usual breakfast that he issues to the custom every morning, where he releases another revelation. You know, nothing is being done on all of that. Rather, you are looking for 17,000 workforce to attack him. So point is, the Nigerian government should do its bit, not just on this custom issue. Since FIJ started this work, he has revealed over 20 issues regarding custom, 20 revelations, none has been taken up to say that this is what should be done. So we hope that with this, the government will play its part and show that it is indeed a government of the people, for the people, and by the people.
And thank you so much, Buki, for coming. And we are interested in this matter. It's a very important story, and I trust that the Inspector General of Police, who himself is a notable Nigerian, will do what is right, and all the authorities concerned, including the customs authorities. It's important that we put an end to this allegation. What FIJ reported, is it true or is it not true? That is what Nigerians are interested in, and we hope that is what we're going to get. Thank you so much, Buki Chonibare, chairperson of the FIJ Board of Trustees, for coming to Inside Sources.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kode. Thanks for having me.
And thank you, and there we have it. Inside Sources will be right back. Welcome back to Inside Sources. I have joining me now a leading human rights lawyer from Lagos. Is joining us virtually. I want to welcome to Inside Sources Mr. Inibehe Effiong. You're welcome to Inside Sources.
Thank you for having me.
Great. Let me just go right to the point. What do you think is the proper procedure if the authorities have an issue with a story by a journalist and they want to, like for instance, the police PRO has now said that there are at least 2 weighty petitions against the founder of Foundation for Investigative Journalism that did what seems to be a damning report around smuggling in the country. So the PRO of the police is saying that there are weighty petitions against the young man. What is the proper procedure recognized by the law, Mr. Effiong?
Thank you. As a lawyer who has had to take up cases involving the police over the years, I'm usually suspicious when the police goes on record to brag about the weightiness, the gravity of petitions that have been written to them in cases of this nature. What I find very curious is the fact that the report by Mr. Fisai Osoyombo and the Foundation for Investigative Journalism has not really been contested or challenged on the merits by the leadership of the Nigerian Customs Service. Not the Controller General, not any of the officers implicated, and not even the individual who has been accused of engaging in smuggling. That is Mr. Bende, I think as is called. I am not aware that they have really satisfactorily contested the reports on the facts. Now, I would have thought that if there are aspects of the report that are being disputed, that the proper procedure, the right thing to do, would be for the leadership of the Nigerian Customs Service and even the presidency, the federal government, and the Ministry of Interior to find a way to even look at where this report is coming from. But what we have seen now is that the police has now been commissioned, as we see in similar cases, to basically go after the messenger while ignoring the message. I don't understand what the police is doing. I do not know what the motivation is, but I suspect that this is again another attempt to sweep the very grave issue that Mr. Fisayo has raised under the carpet. Because if you are saying, right, that the man that is implicated in this report does not have relationship with the Controller General of Customs as it has been reported, or is not involved in smuggling, or that even the video that has been put out by the Foundation for Investigative Journalism showing the individual threatening armed operative of the Nigerian Customs Service. If you are saying that these facts are not correct, then tell us what the facts are. But that also seems to be what the police is after. The other very laughable part of this is that the police ordinarily is supposed to be a law enforcement agency, right?
Yes.
Upon becoming aware of this kind of report, if the police is truly interested in fighting crime, what they should be targeting, what should be of primary concern to them, should be how to look at this report and then find out whether truly these individuals are culpable or not. And if they are, how do we bring them to justice? Journalism is not a crime, because this is again another attempt at criminalization of journalism. I do know that the lawyer to Mr. Bende, I think that is his name, has even caused a letter to be written to the Foundation for Investigative Journalism. And the media organization has also responded to say, we are ready to meet you in court. Because if the allegation is one that is predicated on defamation, then let those who are concerned, let those who are aggrieved go to court and ventilate that. But what we must not support is the deployment of state apparatus, the use of the police, right, to criminalize the work of a journalist. That is unacceptable. Mr. Suyombo did not stay somewhere and just put out this report. He went to communities, he spoke to witnesses, people who are witnesses to account, including officials of the Nigerian Customs Service. So how can the police just simply come out and say, why will you put this out? So they are more concerned about the embarrassment that has been caused to the Customs Service, about the exposure that has been done by the journalists, than the fact of the matter itself. And that is not how a country that is interested in development is supposed to behave. Nigerians are aware that customs over the years have always been accused of aiding smuggling. But this is quite unprecedented, because this seems to be the first time that we have seen the Nigerian Customs Service being exposed in this manner, right? Even the leadership, including the Controller General, has been mentioned. They have not threatened to sue him for defamation, because they know that that may not hold up in court. What they have done, as they have always done, is to use the police to intimidate, to harass, and to silence the media house that has put out this report. And I find that very, despicable. It is not how to govern a country.
Thank you, Mr. Effiong. So I wanted to follow up. I wanted to know what is the proper procedure under law. So the PRO of the police earlier this week on our program Daily Politics Today did say that the police actually have not declared Mr. Suyombo arrested. But he then said that there are at least 2 weighty petitions against him. Now, what I wanted to ask Mr. Effiong is that, is the public entitled to know the contents of those petitions, especially because the allegations contained in the story that Mr. Soyombo did, they are already in the public space. So if somebody is sending a secret petition to the police, is it required by law that such petitions be also brought into the open? I just want us to educate, I want you to educate us on this matter, Mr. Effiong.
Well, first and foremost, I think taking the first PRO seriously is a risky adventure. This is an individual that I know personally. I've also he has had cause to issue statements, about some of my work and all that. So I know this individual. But on your question, the matter is not personal. This is a grave matter of public interest. The issues that have been reported, they are not personal to Mr. Soyombo. They are not personal to Foundation for Investigative Journalism. They are not even personal to the Controller General of Nigerian Customs or even Mr. Bende, the individual that has been implicated. If they are claiming that they have weighty petitions, remember I started by cautioning that nobody should take the police for their words when they claim they have weighty petitions in political matters in cases of this nature, right? Do not take them for their words. Let them put out the petition. Let Nigerians see it. It is a public document. There is nothing confidential. There is nothing secretive about it, right? If the content of the petition is so grave, if they have so serious evidence of commission of crime against Mr. Soyombo and the Foundation for Investigative Journalism, put it out in the public space, right?
Yeah.
They cannot privatize it. They cannot classify it. It is not a classified matter. It is a matter of public interest. Let the petition be put out. And of course, they have no right to declare him wanted. The court have ruled on that. No law enforcement agency, not the police, not the FCC, not the army, can declare anybody wanted without an order of court. So let them tell Nigerians who the petitioners are, what the content of the petition is. Let us see it. And we will then be able to say as members of the public that there is a prima that there is even basis for the invitation or not. Right? Because I am telling you from my own experience that in cases of this nature, it is safer to be cautious in believing the police. It is risky to take the police for their words. If truly they have evidence of commission of crime, in any case, what could be the possible crime? Let's even give them the benefit of doubt. That there is even a weighty petition. What is the petition predicated on? Is it the now thoroughly abused Cyber Crimes Act that the police has made nonsense of? That every Tom, Dick, and Harry is weaponizing to silence critics? Right? Or is it defamation that they are alleging? Or what do they want? What could they possibly charge him for doing his work as the journalist? Because constitutionally, if you look at Section 39 of the Constitution, every individual has the right to establish, own, and operate any medium for dissemination of information, ideas, and opinion. And Section 22 of the Constitution also guarantees the media, the press, right, and all agencies of the mass media, give them the responsibility, a constitutional role, to hold the government accountable, to expose atrocities of government, to expose corruption, inefficiency, and waste. So if the police is now saying that this report is a departure from the constitutional role of the media, let them put the facts forward. Let them put the facts forward. When we see it, we will be able to then respond to it. But at this moment, the facts on public record, the facts that we are aware, are overwhelmingly in favor of Mr. FIJ and the Foundation for Investigative Journalism. And if at all anybody is alleging that this report is false, they should file a civil claim in court. The use of state apparatus to quell journalism, to criminalize journalism. And let me, at the risk of, patronizing Mr. FIJ, I know this gentleman, right? He is not a pushover in journalism. He has been an editor of reputable media organizations. He knows his onions. He has done this kind of reports before. So this is not new. And I hope they know who they are dealing with, right? He's not somebody, he's not a pushover at all. So these threats, this act of intimidation is not going to work. The public has already formed their opinion. If they want to change the opinion of the public, let them put compelling facts forward.
Thank you.
Let them tell us why the report is false.
Thank you.
For now, they haven't done that.
Thank you so much, Mr. Effiong, for your comments. And like you said, we will be following up this issue because indeed you are correct. This is a public interest matter, and it is one that we keep our eyes focused on. Thank you so much, Mr. Effiong, for coming to Inside Sources.
Thank you for having me. My pleasure.
All right, thank you. That is another edition of Inside Sources. Like we always say, hashtag Nigeria will prevail. My name is Lalu Akonde. I'll see you next week by the grace of God. Thank you.